Hello, this is Robert Stearns. Hey, I want to thank you for tuning in. I really believe that learning is one of the greatest joys in life. And one of the greatest ways to learn is simply to have meaningful conversations, both with those who come from a similar background as yours, as well as those whose background might be very different. So my hope is that as we connect and converse with leaders from all around the world, that we will learn and grow together. If you're new with us, hit the subscribe button and we'll deliver the new episodes to you right away. So wherever you are, on a run, in the car, at the kitchen table with some coffee, welcome to the conversation. And good evening, brothers and sisters, friends all across America and around the world. Great to see you. I have been looking forward to this all day long. I have had such a expectancy to be here with my friends and to share this time together. I hope you're doing great. Some of you have already done this, but please take a moment and sign in. Tell us who you are, where you're watching from. Do us a favor. If it's your first or second time, just tell us, hey, I'm a visitor. It's my first time, my second time. Let us know where you're at so we can get acquainted with you. And we'll go through and introduce everybody in a second. So sign in. Quickly hit the share button. That's your job tonight. Danny's job behind the desk is to keep everything moving. Danny, thank you for your production skills. We appreciate Danny so much. In fact, we have a huge announcement. Let me make this announcement right. Well, I'm going to wait a minute because it's a big announcement. I want more people to get on. So hit the share button because we've got a big announcement. Don't let me forget that big announcement. Let me write it down. But I appreciate Danny and his hard work helping all the production go forth. Let me give a few quick announcements while people are signing in. Sign in real quick and hit the share button. East Coast Conference coming to the Tabernacle at Buffalo, New York, July 14th through the 17th. It's going to be an amazing time. This is, I think, our 27th annual East Coast Conference. Pastor Regan D'Onofrio is going to be with us from Long Island. Many other special guests. Resting Place will be with us from New Jersey. You're going to want to be a part of that, July 14 to 17. Then we are heading back to Israel, and I want you to join me. I want you to join me in Jerusalem. First time we're going as a group in 3 years. September the 27th. Go to awakejerusalem.com. awakejerusalem.com to sign up and register. If you do that right now and you just pay, a few $100s every month, you'll get it all paid off by September and you can join us there. I know we have folks tuning in from the West Coast tonight. We are heading back to Los Angeles. We had to reschedule. The Los Angeles Celebrates Israel, but we are heading back in April. And I don't have that exact date off the top of my head. The 3rd, April 3rd, we will be in Los Angeles. Look at the emails and social media posts for more information. Our special guest tonight, of course, will be our keynote speaker with us in Los Angeles. All right, let's see who's here. Hit the share button real quick. We have in the house, Terry is with us. She's always first. God bless you, Terry. You are always first to service. Baltimore, Maryland, Katy, Texas, Orchard Park, New York, Hagerstown, Maryland, Orchard Park, New York, Buffalo, New York, Boyertown, Pennsylvania, Crown Heights, Brooklyn, Springville, New York, snowy Columbus, Indiana, not snowy Southern California. Diana, God bless you. The Cohens are with us tonight from Pennsylvania. Tennessee is in the house. God bless you, Greens. Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. God bless you, Catalina. Trisha Miller from sunny Southern Florida. I was in Florida the other day. It was not sunny. It was cold, wet, and rainy. How is that fair? How is it fair that I live in Buffalo, New York, I fly to Orlando, and it is 40 degrees and raining? Greenfield Township, Pennsylvania. Lancaster, New York. My dear friend Rose Kemps is with us, not from Beverly Hills, but from Beverly Gills. She is swimming tonight. No, God bless you, Rose. We love you. Rose is such a dear lady. Grand Island is with us. Ohio, Aaron Kuzmarski. Weehawken, New Jersey. Daniela, God bless you. Daniela, what was that social media post with the gold box? I can't figure it out, and it's all in German. Daniela, your public wants to know. Geneva, New York, and Valparaiso, Indiana, frozen northern Michigan. Rodney is with us from Tampa, Florida. God bless you, Rodney. Miss you guys. Frank Raybell from Alabama. Frank, we just had lunch together, didn't we? I think when I was in Alabama last week. God bless you, one of our partners. Sue is with us from Edison. What a great crowd. And why shouldn't it be? Because we have, quite honestly, one of our absolute favorite rabbis with us. He is beloved by the Eagles Wings community around America and around the world. I really truly believe, my mentor in this field of Jewish Christian relations was a British rabbi named Rabbi Gerald Meister of blessed memory. And I met him in the early 2000s, and he guided me with so much wisdom and clarity when this was all brand new. This Jewish Christian dialogue and friendship was extremely new at that time. And he was an incredible, incredible blessing. And he went to heaven. And I really believe that the Lord gave me this brother as the next iteration of the one who would be such a help and such a blessing to me. So we're so excited to have with us tonight an amazing, amazing friend of ours, Rabbi Pini Dunner. Would you give him a warm Eagles Wings welcome? There he is. Rabbi, how are you, sir?
I'm fantastic. I love listening to you mentioning all these different locations where there are viewers and people who are tuning in. What a fantastic crowd you've got tonight. And it's really a pleasure to be able to share with them some words of spirituality, to bring them closer to God, to bring them closer to Jewish-Christian relations, and to bring them closer to the land of Israel.
Well, we always learn and glean from your wisdom, Rabbi, and we're so honored to have you. And this is just the folks on Facebook, because I can't view the YouTube comments in real time. Here's folks signing in from Lakewood, Washington, and it's wonderful. But Rabbi, I have to tell you that in addition to the folks online, just for you, sir, just for you, we have a live studio audience tonight. This live studio audience, they said, if Rabbi Dunner is on, we've got to be there. We're going to cut away right now to our live studio audience. Here we go.
I'm going to take a look. Oh, wow. Hello, everyone. Fantastic. That's just
there
amazing.
Is Michael and Daniel and Isaac and Rabbi
We're waiting
Dunner
for you to come to Los Angeles, and we're looking forward to having Shabbos together. I wish you l'chaim.
My boys love the Dunner family, and our children have become incredibly good friends. They're constantly texting and in communication, and it's a beautiful gift and a beautiful joy. And Rabbi, your Shabbat table has brought so much joy to my family. We have had such special memories and had such special warmth in your home. So
I'm regretful that I wasn't with you in Huntsville, Alabama last week when you were together with our dear friend Rusty Nelson. And
yes.
I know what a wonderful community and congregation he has in Huntsville. And of course, Huntsville is very special for us lovers of Israel, because it is there that they create the rockets for the Iron Dome that protects Israel from Hamas rockets that attempt to kill civilians. And Huntsville, Alabama is a place which has great merits, and God should bless the community of Huntsville, Alabama, and they should continue to thrive and continue to be successful. We are with them. I'm sorry I wasn't there with you.
We had a wonderful, wonderful time, and we are so grateful for Pastor Rusty and Lisa Nelson and the whole community of faith there. We had a wonderful conference there, and you'll have to journey with us again to Huntsville in the near future. Let me use this opportunity before we get to the Parsha to make that very special announcement. All right, so we need a drum roll in the background. Thank you. Michael is providing the drum roll. But folks, this is amazing. We have been contacted, our office, by Ambassador David Friedman. And of course, Ambassador Friedman was America's ambassador to Israel under the Trump administration. And he was the one who worked with the Trump administration and the moderate Arab states in the Gulf to move the embassy, the American embassy, from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. He oversaw that entire historic and, one might say, biblical fulfillment of prophecy. And he's an amazing man. He was with us at our day of prayer for the peace of Jerusalem, the last one that we had before COVID. We got a phone call from him, and he has written his memoirs of all of the drama and saga of bringing the embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem, and how everyone said that it could not be done, and it was a pipe dream, and it was going to cause World War III, but how he had a conviction from God that this was his mission. And he's written these memoirs, and here's the announcement. He has given Eagle's Wings the exclusive. We are going to be the first Christian organization that he speaks to. He's going to come on live with us, meet with the Eagle's Wings community, and open up his memoirs and tell this story. You are going to be the very first people to hear it live. So that is coming very soon. I think the date is February 22nd. So jot that down. Wow, that'll be 2/22/22. Wow, I think there's something prophetic in that. So we're incredibly honored that Ambassador Friedman, out of all of the groups that he could have reached out to, has reached out to us. And so we're so excited about that. And Rabbi, I'm sure you think that that's just going to be a wonderful thing for all of us.
It's going to be fantastic. You know that some years ago, it's not that long ago, but President Trump, as he was then, he was the president of the United States, spoke for our community, and he described the decision as it was made of moving the embassy, because he'd been told by the State Department that it was going to cost, I mean, I can't remember the exact number, but it was many millions, maybe tens of millions of dollars. And he called up David Friedman. David Friedman had done a sort of costing of what it was going to take to move the embassy. And he said they've come up with a figure. He said it's $400,000. And Donald Trump said, he told David Friedman something he's never said to anybody before in his entire life. He said to him, "That's not enough. I would like to pay more money. It doesn't sound enough." You know what they did? There was an existing building that they used as a consulate in Jerusalem.
That's right.
And there was an existing embassy in Tel Aviv. And what they did was they changed the sign and made certain security arrangements for the consulate in Jerusalem, so that it now became the Embassy of the United States in Jerusalem. And they changed the signage and various other arrangements vis-a-vis staffing for the consulate or the embassy in Tel Aviv. That was the extent of the change, but the symbolic nature of moving the United States embassy, the embassy of the most powerful country on the planet, to the center of biblical history, to Jerusalem, Yerushalayim, is something that cannot be dismissed as a mere political move. It is something that is of biblical proportions. And that's what happened. And it happened in our lifetimes. We saw it, we observed it, we've experienced it, and we've seen prophecy in action. And David Friedman, who's going to be on your program on the 22nd of February, you're going to speak to him. He was an agent of change. He was one of those chosen by God to make sure that this happened.
It's going to be absolutely fascinating, everybody, to hear the behind the scenes. What pressures did they have, and what difficulties did they encounter, and how was the hand of God evident in this historic activity that took place. So you're going to want to be a part of that. We'll be sending out an email in the next few days for you to sign up and register. It will be free, of course, but it's going to be an amazing historic time. And I'm so honored that the ambassador feels strongly enough and such a warmth in his heart towards the Eagles Wings community. And again, he was with us at the day of prayer, and his heart was so touched at that event. So we're very, very excited. And Rabbi, I can't tell you, you've been such a help to our community. You've always given us words of wisdom, words of guidance. You've always pushed the envelope on both sides. You've faced some resistance in the Jewish world as we've faced resistance in the Christian world, because this friendship is new and everybody's got to wrap their brain around it. But it's just been glorious to walk in partnership and in brotherhood with you, and we are so grateful.
We're focused on goals, Bishop, and the goal is the glory of God. And the glory of God is through the land of Israel and through the temple in Jerusalem. That is what we are facing. We say every day in our prayers that Sheyibaneh Beit HaMikdash b'mhera b'yameinu, that the temple should be rebuilt speedily and in our days. And we are proud to stand alongside our Christian brethren in anticipation of this great moment, probably the greatest moment of Jewish history and of history, the world history, of human history. And we will do it together. We're going to get to that stage together.
Amen. Well, and I see that our dear friend Pastor Luke Cobray has just signed on. We love Luke, and he hosted Torah Tuesday. He hosted Torah Tuesday for me last week when I couldn't be there. Luke, God bless you, folks. If you're up in, oh goodness, I can never remember. Is he in Oregon or Washington? I'm sorry, Luke, but give us the city. If you're in his city, you need to attend his church. Well, Rabbi, we're going to turn to the Parsha tonight. We're in Exodus 25, everybody. Exodus chapter 25. And
the Torah tells us that God instructed Moses and said to him, "Make me a sanctuary and I will dwell among them." That if there is a sanctuary, if there's a place that's focused on the presence of God, then the presence of God will automatically be among the people who seek it. That is a prophecy. It's a prophecy at the beginning of chapter 25 of Exodus, and it's a prophecy that for the last almost 3,500 years has been the center of the faith community of those who believe in the one God. And we are lucky enough to be able to study this parsha, this portion of the Torah, every single year, the parsha of Terumah, that discusses all the aspects, all the details, all the little nitty-gritty details of the project that was known as the Mishkan. And your church, Bishop Stearns, is known as the Tabernacle. That's how we tend to translate the word Mishkan in the Bible. It's the King James translation. I don't know where that word comes from. We would simply call it a temporary temple. The Mishkan was the place which served as the temple until the permanent temple was built on Mount Zion, on the Temple Mount in Jerusalem. So the temple, the construction of the temple, and the importance of the temple is contained in the chapters that begin with chapter 25 of Exodus.
Now, Rabbi, a couple things. First of all, folks might be interested to know that in Pennsylvania, there is an actual life-size replica of the Mishkan that some wonderful Mennonites have built exactly to scale. You can tour it. Some of my Pennsylvania folks will put in the details and what town it's in, but it's in Amish country, and it's absolutely fascinating. Boys, we haven't gone there, but we've got to go. You can go, and it's literally
Bishop, we must go there together. So we must arrange a date where we can align our schedules.
I would love it.
We must go there together. I think it would be wonderful. I've never been there. I've heard of it as you have. I would love to go and visit it.
We'll do an Eagles Wings trip, and we'll invite our Jewish friends from New York and Philadelphia. That'd be amazing. So, but Rabbi, let's start at the beginning. The name of this parsha, if I've got it right, is Terumah.
Terumah.
Terumah. And what does that mean, Rabbi? What does
tithing.
It mean?
You would be familiar with this as Christians. Tithing. It's gifts. It's charity. Literal means to tithe. It means to take charity, to take contributions. And the most important part, I want to tell you something. Maimonides, who wrote the first definitive law book for the Jewish people. I know it's hard to believe that it took such a long time, but the Torah was given at Mount Sinai 3,300 and something years ago. And so at some point in the 12th century, Maimonides, so a couple of thousand years later, 1,500, 1,800 years later, Maimonides wrote, or 2,000 years later, wrote his definitive Mishneh Torah, his book in which it was all the laws that can be derived from the Torah and the Talmud were contained. I know that Christians believe us to be very legalistic, but we take enormous inspiration from the fact that God demands of us to do particular things at particular moments in time. And I know that you understand it, Bishop, but many Christians, because of the way they've been educated about Jews, see the legalism of the Jewish system as something that is a barrier to God. We don't see it that way at all. We call Jewish law halacha. Did you know that? Halacha means it's a way to God. By observing mitzvot, by observing, for example, the Shabbat, we have an in with God. We have a portal into God. And the Rambam, Maimonides, when describing building a Beit HaMikdash, and he talks about the rebuilding of the temple that will take place when the Messiah comes, says that every single person who is a member of the community, a member of the congregation of Israel, must contribute towards the rebuilding of the temple and of the building of the sanctuary that will enable God to reside amongst humanity. And he says, do you know why? Do you know why it is that every person has to contribute? And this comes from the word terumah, because that is what happened when the Mishkan was built. That is what happened when the tabernacle, the very first sanctuary that was ever built, that housed God, as it were. Of course, you can't house God because God is everywhere, but kind of a concentrated force of God, because of our focus on that particular location, was in the sanctuaries, in the tabernacle. Every single person contributed. And I want to tell you something, and I believe this to be true. Do you know why God resided there? Do you know why it is that God was in the Mishkan and wasn't elsewhere in the wilderness or elsewhere in the world? Because everybody had a stake in that Mishkan. If you contribute, if you're a part of it, if you come together as a congregation and you create a sacred space, then that's where God will reside. That's where God will be. And it's not just about the tabernacle in the wilderness. It applies equally to the temple that was in Jerusalem and the temple that will be rebuilt on Temple Mount in Jerusalem in our days when the Messiah comes. We will have a temple to which all of us, Christians and Jews, all of us will contribute. We will all be a part of this great moment. And you know that the prophet says that we will all come up onto the mountain and we will all worship God in our way, in our prayers, and we will be a part of that magical moment, of that incredible moment when God will once again be among the Jewish people and among the lovers of Israel, among the faithful.
It says it will be a house of prayer for all nations, and that will be the moment where all those who are in alignment, and that doesn't mean for everyone, but it means everyone is invited. Those who have aligned themselves to the God of the Bible have this opportunity, this invitation to ascend the hill of the Lord, to come up, to be elevated in their spirituality and to connect with God. Now, Rabbi, you've gone into so many things, but I've got 2 points I want to have you emphasize. I'd like you to go back for a moment to where you talked about how many times, and not because Christians are bad people or that they do this, with ill intent, but many times we are scripted with this thing that says, well, Judaism is all legalism. And isn't it sad those poor Jews think they have to keep all those laws, and that if they keep those laws, then they can be righteous, when really God loves them already. And it really is, that is really not the perspective. And so could you talk about that? You talked about it briefly, but it is such a reality. I think it would be worth our time for you to go a little deeper into that. Talk about the joy of the mitzvot and the joy of those abilities to sanctify God in the midst of the everyday.
Well, let me begin by saying this. On so many occasions, Christians have come to us for Shabbat, devout Christians, people who've been brought up in the Christian faith and who are even familiar with what you refer to as the Old Testament, the Hebrew scriptures, and they've been shocked at the joy in the singing, because for them, the scribes and the Pharisees are a pretty miserable bunch, aren't they? Because they have to sit in darkness. They're not allowed to do this. They're not allowed to do that. And they come into a home where there's such joy and such festivity and such pleasure that is taken from the observance of Shabbat. And I want to take Shabbat as an example because it is the ultimate form of legalism in the Torah, in the Hebrew scriptures. What is Shabbat? Shabbat is a period of 24, 25 hours is the way we observe it, from sundown on Friday until nightfall on Saturday. 25 hours where we cannot do anything which is a weekday activity. We're forbidden. There's 39 categories of forbidden laws. We're not allowed to engage in trade. We're not allowed to light fires. We're not allowed to. There's so many things that we can't do on the Shabbat. And people might say, oh my gosh, how can I ever observe Shabbat? It's going to be so annoying. And, I need to be able to go on my phone. I need to be able to get into a car. I need to be able to do so many different things. I need to be able to cook. I need to be able to, if I need to do business, because otherwise I'm going to lose money, all the different things that we think that we need to do. But you know what it says? And it says it so many times in the Hebrew scriptures, that God worked for 6 days. And of course, even speaking that way about God sounds ridiculous. But on the seventh day, he rested. He didn't rest because he needed to rest. He created a space known as rest, as Shabbat.
Wow.
The word Shabbat means rest, so that we do not need to engage with the activities of the weekday. We don't need to be in the melee. We don't need to be completely consumed by the activities of the week, so that we can bathe in the glory of God without any distractions. Now, is that legalism? You've been to my house on Shabbat. It doesn't feel like legalism to me. It feels as if it is an opportunity. It feels like it is a platform. It's a platform for becoming closer to God. I am not going to have any distractions. I am going to be able to devote my time to faith and to the faith experience. That is the point of legalism. It's not legalism so that it's there to tell you what to do and what not to do. The point of the halacha is it creates a pathway to God. And we in the Jewish world, those who observe the mitzvot, and of course there are Jews who don't observe mitzvot, who are in a sense very Jewish. I don't want to diminish their Jewish identity. But those of us from the Orthodox world who are very devoted and very devout in terms of their observance of halakha, we feel that we have the opportunity through this system, and it's so systemized, that we can get close to God. And I want to tell you one other thing. You know that there is this book, it's many more volumes, it's called the Talmud. The Talmud contains the oral law. The oral law was composed by rabbis during the period of Jesus. That's when it was put together. In fact, he is considered by those who understand the scholarship and the details of the history of that moment as being a contemporary of the rabbinic scholars of the Talmud. And of course, he had complaints. And by the way, even in the Talmud, there are those who find difficulty with each other because of their insistence on particular aspects of Jewish law. But I want to tell you, in yeshiva, and you'll recall, and I know Luke is online, we went to Mir Yeshiva in Jerusalem together with the pastors all those years ago. They sit and they study the Talmud for hours, and they debate seemingly arcane points of Jewish law. And you may wonder, what difference does it make about whether or not there is a levirate marriage? Because there's a tractate called Yevamot that talks about levirate marriage. There's nobody, even in the Jewish world, who engages in levirate marriage. And yet they'll sit for hours talking about the different opinions about a passage in Yevamot concerning levirate marriage. What's the point? Because we believe that if God gave us words in the Torah that need to be unpacked and need to be understood, that when we engage in those discussions, we are engaging in the words of God. It is literally a faith experience. Yes. It is a holy experience. We have the opportunity through the words of the Talmud to engage in a vernacular that is not familiar with the day-to-day world. Ordinary people don't have that opportunity. We have the opportunity to talk about the laws that God gave us and to discuss whether the law means this or the law means that. And we're not just talking about points of law. We're not lawyers. Most of the people who go to yeshiva, as they told your pastors when we visited the Mir
Right.
yeshiva, they're never going to become rabbis. They're going to go home and they're going to become accountants and lawyers and doctors and whatever else they're going to become. But they discuss the words of God because it comes to them through the medium of the Talmud. That is so powerful. We can study the word of God and engage in it with our human intellectual capacity. We can engage in the word of God. He's given us that opportunity. Not that he's dictated to us that this is what we have to believe, but he's given us the opportunity of debating and discussing and coming to conclusions about different aspects of Jewish law. That's not legalism. That's a faith experience.
It's so powerful, Rabbi. And folks, if you're just tuning in, we are here with our amazing brother, Rabbi Pini Dunner. He is the rabbi of the Orthodox Synagogue in Beverly Hills, the Beverly Hills Synagogue. He's one of the great, great leaders in this generation within Judaism. Every single Shabbat night when our family gathers, and we gather every Friday night, this book, Hearts and Minds, is right there, and we open it and we find some teaching. This is Rabbi Dunner's teaching on each parsha. If you don't have this book, you need to get a hold of this book. Rabbi, what's the website to get this?
Just go on Amazon.com. It's available on Amazon.
Hearts and Minds by Rabbi Pini Dunner. And this is a phenomenal, phenomenal way to study the weekly Torah. Each portion, I don't know, it's maybe 3 pages or 4 pages. You can read it in 5 minutes, 10 minutes, but it brings the lesson of the week right into your home. We do it every single week. So, Rabbi, I
want to tell you actually for your viewers that I'm just about finished preparing the manuscript for my next book, which will be coming out in April or May, and it is a book on all the Jewish festivals. So you'll have articles and insights into all the festivals: Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, Sukkot, Hanukkah, Purim, all of the Jewish festivals, Pesach, of course. And you'll be able to engage with each one of those festivals through very contemporary ideas that I have put together in essays over the years, and then it's been published in a book in a few months' time.
So we can't wait. And there's the link right there. Everyone is saying that they want to go buy the book tonight. There's the link. Thank you, Eagles Wings team, for putting that in there. So I wanted Rabbi to address 2 things. The first was this Christian concept that we really have to be careful of, that automatically says that anything that comes from keeping the commandments is legalism. And Rabbi's given us a brilliant look at this. We need to be careful. Of course, that can become legalism, but let's also understand speaking in tongues can become legalism, and a particular way of worship can become, anything can become legalism if our heart becomes twisted in the pursuit of it.
Becomes ossified and becomes the only way that you can do something is legalism. Right. But if tongues, for example, is an inspirational experience, then it's not legalism. If it becomes something you have to do and then you're not comfortable doing it, then it's unfortunately becomes an imposition. And I think that if Shabbat is treated in the correct way, and you know it, Bishop, because you've embraced the Shabbat. If Shabbat becomes something that enhances your faith experience, enhances your connection to God, then Shabbat is not legalism. It's the greatest gift that God could have ever given us.
Well, and we believe that. And this tribe, Rabbi, we are those, we firmly believe that Shabbat is Shabbat, and that Shabbat is not, with all due respect to our Jewish brothers and sisters, Shabbat predates Judaism. Shabbat goes back to Bereshit itself. Shabbat goes back to the actual nature and character of Hashem, the Creator. And so it's a gift to all humanity, and we need to align with Shabbat. And it's not, folks, I'm sorry, it's not just the Shabbat principle. It's not just, I'll celebrate Shabbat on Wednesday. God, Rabbi Meister used to tell me, he would say that in his great British accent, he'd say, God does not rule the world by whimsy. In other words, we can't just, twist and go here and there. God has an order to it. And so we come into alignment with that welcoming of the Sabbath on Friday night.
It's like Bishop, it's like computer coding. If you change a letter or you change some symbol in the computer coding, it may make sense to you, but it's not going to make sense to the computer, and the program isn't going to work. And
100%.
God gave us computer coding. He gave us faith coding, and it's called the Torah. He's told us Shabbat has to be on the 7th day of the week, and that is when we have to rest from the activities of the week so that we can devote ourselves to God. That is something that is coded in the system. It's coded with creation, and that's why Shabbat is so important.
Well, and we can talk about it at a different time, but I think it's coded into the cosmos. I think it's literally linked to all creation, and that's a whole other conversation. Our time is running. What a great crowd we've got tonight. We've got a phenomenal size group in the house. Hit the share button, everybody. Sorry, Jeff Tooley's got a bad connection. So Jeff, sign out and come back in, and maybe you'll have a better connection. Rabbi, I want to talk about at least one. We're going to do one more thing, and then I'll give you a final word tonight. But Tarumah, you told us, says tithing. And I want to tell you, this week, my sons and I, we all sat down, and we've got here, let's go. We're going to pan over to the studio audience again. Here they are. All right, guys, show Rabbi you're still on board with him here tonight. Give him a big shout out.
Hi, guys.
They love Rabbi Dunner, and they love Rabbi Dunner's family. My kids feel so at home with Rabbi Dunner's family. They're so warm and so kind. But Rabbi, this passage opens with this very interesting passage. It says here, the Lord said to Moses, "Tell the Israelites to bring me an offering. You are to receive the offering for me from each man whose heart prompts him to give." So God is kind of saying, listen, the offering is compulsory, but at the same time, they're to bring what is in their heart to bring. And the principle of tithing comes. And this week we sat down, the boys' birthday is coming up, and it was time for an increase in their allowance. And we were going through finances. We were looking at their individual budgets and looking at what am I paying for? What are they responsible to pay for? Et cetera, et cetera. And I sat down this week, and Michael, come here really quick. Real fast. What I sat down, and what did I say when we get in here, get in the shot? What did I say when we talked about the money and me getting you money? What did I say? The first thing was, what was the first thing you had to pay?
Tithe.
Right?
Yes, sir.
And I said, the only way you're going to get any money from me for allowance is
the percent of tithe, yes.
Is if you did your tithe. And then you started asking, you said, well, can we give to what we feel to give to, right?
Yep.
And I said, absolutely. There were many different options, but you wanted to build into your heart that sense of saying, I will be a giver.
Yep.
That's right. All right. And that goes all the way back to this scripture right here.
God bless you. God bless you, Michael. I want to tell you something. It's not in this week's parsha. It comes, and there's actually a correlation between the two. In Parashat Kisisa, which is coming in a couple of weeks, we read about the donation, the annual compulsory mandatory donation of half a shekel. You know about that? Each person had to give half a shekel towards the upkeep of the temple. It was a compulsory donation. Nobody could escape. It was a head tax. And they used to have a half a shekel's worth of silver. That was a coin that they would give to the temple, and that would pay for the daily sacrifices and the upkeep of the Beit HaMikdash. It was very important that they collected that each year. And interestingly enough, it was roughly the same time as the tax collecting month of our calendar year, which was in the spring, in April time. It's around Pesach time that we actually read the parsha again at the beginning of the second month of Adar, Parshat Shekalim, it's called, because and we have a symbolic donation that we give of a half a shekel at Purim, that we give this half shekel donation, a half denomination. Here in America we give a $50 because it has to be a half denomination of the currency, so that we can represent this idea of the half a shekel. What's interesting is that the word that's used in Hebrew, and Michael should listen carefully to this, the word that's used in Hebrew to convey the instruction to give this half a shekel is v'natnu. Vav, nun, taf, nun, vav. 5 letters. V'natnu. And you shall give, and they shall give, right? V'natnu is a palindrome. It's the same forward as backwards, which means that if you give, you're going to get it back. There's no such thing as a person who gives charity that's not going to get it back in spades. God promises you that those who tithe, his tithe will come in your direction. And the tithe may come in money, and it may come in the nachas that you have from your children. It may come in the pleasure that you get out of life. It may be in all types of things, but God will give it back to you. If you are somebody who takes God into consideration from that which he has given you, and you give it back to him, then he will give it back to you. And that is the greatest idea of terumah. I'm giving to God, but how much does God give me back? How much am I getting from God? How much have I benefited from God? I woke up this morning, I had a smile on my face. This is going to be the best day of my life. Do you know why? Because God allowed me to wake up, and I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that his world is more glorious and more special and a better place to live for as many people as possible, because I want to show my thanks to him for having given back so much to me.
And Rabbi, when you wake up in the morning, you're going to thank before you think, because you taught us that, and we've quoted you over and over and over again, that early morning prayer that you thank before you think. But Rabbi, that is incredible. And Jesus was aware of that, because Jesus said these words. He said, "Give, and it shall be given unto you. Good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over." In other words, the little bit that we give to God, God gives back so much exponentially more. But how powerful that Hebrew again instructs us with this palindrome. And of course, a palindrome, everybody, is a word that is spelled identical one way and backwards. Backwards and forwards, it's spelled the same way. And so that we're giving and receiving even as we give. And that's what I've taught my children. If you want to walk in the blessing of God, in the most difficult times of my life, where I've gone through some terrible times of great financial stress, I never stopped tithing. I always was faithful to give, because that sets us up in a line. It's like the principle of Shabbat. It sets us up in alignment for the blessing of God. And I want to thank all of those of you who give regularly to Eagle's Wings. This coming Thursday, I will be leaving, taking 25 young pastors with me to Israel on the same trip that Pastor Luke Cobray came on, the same trip that Rabbi Dunner came on. Rabbi, if you can hop on a plane, come over and join us. We're leaving there the 9th to the 18th.
Mayor know. Let my son Mayor, who's in the army, join you for one of your events.
Let's do that. All right, I will email Carly tomorrow. Let's see if we can set that up. We would love that. And we continue to pray for Mayor in the army. But we're bringing over these pastors, 25 young leaders who have not been introduced to this type of thinking, who don't understand the urgent need for Christians to stand with the Jewish people. And folks, that happens because of your faithfulness, because of your partnership. We're going to visit the Abraham's Bread feeding centers. We're going to be presenting a check to them. We're going to be continuing to support them. And all of that happens because you have decided to become a monthly partner or a donor with Eagle's Wings. Go to eagleswings.org/donate. Folks, there is no partnership too small. $10 a month, $20 a month. You think, what does that do? Folks, all of that together adds up, and it keeps us on mission. So we're so grateful for those of you who give, and in your giving, remember Eagle's Wings. That keeps us moving in all of these amazing ways. Rabbi, we could go on and on. You're literally a fountain of inspiration. We love you. We celebrate you. We can't wait for your next book that's coming out. But Rabbi, take this last 2 minutes that we have together and just wrap up this incredible session that we've had together tonight in God's Word.
Thank you, first of all, to all of those who are watching this. If you're watching it live or if you're going to be watching the recording, I want to bless you on behalf of the Jewish people, on behalf of my community, and of course, on behalf of all the many Christian communities who stand alongside Israel, for your support, not just of the land of Israel, but for the concept of the return of the Jewish people to the land of their heritage, to the land of the covenant, Abraham's covenant, which was the foundation of the Bible. In Genesis chapter 12, verse 3, it says, as you all know, that those who bless Israel will themselves be blessed. But the greatest blessing of all is that we are together like brothers and sisters, walking alongside each other to see the word of God realized in the land that he created in this world to be the center of faithfulness and of his people, the Jewish people. You are part of that legacy. You are part of that prophecy, and you are part of that future. And I embrace you for that. And I applaud you for being a part of that incredible project. Thank you to Bishop Stearns and to his whole team for making sure that I'm in the right place at the right time to be able to address you. And of course, thank you to Carly, who's here in Beverly Hills, making sure I'm in the right place at the right time to do this. And I look forward to joining you again very, very soon.
Rabbi, we love you. We're so grateful for you. The boys wanted to come on and say goodbye to you and to your family.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Oh, there you are. And the dog is there as well. Wonderful.
Of course.
And
Exactly.
I can't wait to come back to Buffalo. I'm looking forward to it.
Miss you.
We've got to make it happen very, very soon. Everybody, it's been a beautiful night. It's been a special night. Always so good on Thursday nights. Remember, tomorrow night, Shabbat, our blessings at 6 p.m. Sunday morning, 10 a.m., thetab.org for our Sunday morning service. And wherever you are, keep praying for the peace of Jerusalem.